What's up everybody, D-Man back. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing my predictions for Monarch Legacy of Monsters Season 1 Episode 9 titled Axis Mundi. I'm getting sad, man. The Monarch season's almost over. We're like just 2 episodes away and then it's done. I don't want it to end. I'm having so much fun with the show. I've loved the week to week, so thank you guys to everybody who tunes in with me week to week. I really appreciate it. I'm getting a little nervous though because there's a lot of plot to try and wrap up in 2 episodes, and are they gonna pull it off in a satisfying way? I don't know. I, as well as many other people, have felt that the ending of a couple episodes now has been pretty rushed. The last 2 episodes in particular had really rushed endings, and so I'm getting a little nervous that the show is gonna have a pretty rushed ending because there's a lot to tie up here. Getting into my episode predictions, first of all, the episode's title is Axis Mundi, which refers to a place between heaven and earth. I think it's pretty clear what that's setting up for, but depictions of this often include mountain ranges reaching down to an underworld, whereas the literal Latin translation is the axis of earth between the celestial poles. And if we're to track that, that's the North and South Pole, and what would be in between them in the MonsterVerse? Well, the Hollow Earth. So it's pretty obvious what this is talking about. It's the Hollow Earth. And I think it's pretty clear this episode will be taking us deep beneath the surface of the planet to uncover the secrets within. The episode description for this episode states, Shaw and May search for Kate and make a startling discovery. Kentaro struggles with his loss. I have one teaser image, I don't have many, but I have one teaser image that shows Shaw and Randa walking together in the past. They're next to these trailers, and it's clearly this big test day gone wrong. As far as what the past plotline could be, I do think it is gonna be that big test day gone wrong that we've seen footage of in the trailers and we've been speculating about for a long time now. I would love if this scene was set in the 1960s, sometime following the death of Keiko. That is what I would love to see, and I don't know if they're gonna do that. I could see this being just like a year after the last episode, but I would love for us to jump to the 60s. It would also help out because they're wearing those Astro Monster inspired uniforms, and if they're gonna wear those Astro Monster uniforms, it'd be fun if this was set in the 60s just like that film was. So I think following Shaw's previous report to General Puckett in the last episode, Monarch's gonna have to be forced to prove the existence of the Hollow Earth to the government in order to keep funding in the first place, and so Shaw and a team of soldiers are gonna have a Hollow Earth exploration pod which will be designed by Monarch that they're gonna drop into a hole that Randa has discovered that he believes is one of the entrance ports to the Hollow Earth. The reason that this would also be fitting to be set in the 60s is because in episode 1 we see that they map the ground under the power plant in Kazakhstan, and it makes sense that they did that to see if the bedrock was hollow, which is what they discover if they haven't been to the Hollow Earth. They say this could make all of the things we've sacrificed worth it. And I think they could be saying that because nobody has believed them, so they've had to really struggle to try and find the existence of the Hollow Earth, and this was the best proof they had. Now they found another entrance to the Hollow Earth that they're going to be trying to test in this episode. Alternatively, they could be saying that because this test goes so horribly wrong that they're forced to try so much harder to keep funding for Monarch, therefore that would be the thing that is like, oh, this could make everything we've sacrificed worth it. I think that Shaw and a team of soldiers are going to be dropped into the Hollow Earth with this exploration pod, and Monarch and the government are going to be there to bear witness to it. I don't entirely know where this will be, but I think it will be the portal that they're going to exit at the end of the episode, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I do think that portal is going to come full circle in this episode. So what we know about this is that Randa and Hiroshi are present. Also, shout out Randa's outfit, very Kong Skull Island inspired. I know he wore a similar outfit a couple episodes ago with the same hat. Very cool to see that hat show up. And I think this test is just going to go horribly wrong and fail in front of everybody because they don't know to account for the vortex that forms upon entry to the Hollow Earth. As we've seen in Legacy of Monsters, that happens whenever you go in. I think it'll destroy the observation platform as seen in the trailers, killing a bunch of soldiers in the process. I think Hiroshi is gonna see this. He's gonna probably sneak into the test site and watch this, and it's gonna freak him out and put this deep fear of the Hollow Earth in his heart for the rest of his life, which gives motivation for his actions later in the show. It's also a good reason why he would deny the Hollow Earth, because he's so freaked out by what he saw. Meanwhile, Shaw and his team will be transported to the Hollow Earth, where they will get out of their pod, and all of them except for Shaw will be killed by a Titan down there, and Shaw is gonna see that there is a whole world of monsters beneath their feet, and he is going to learn somehow, some way that Godzilla is the one meant to keep this at bay. I don't know if Godzilla is going to appear in this episode, but I could very well see Godzilla being in the Hollow Earth, doing something, fighting a monster, putting a monster in check. Somehow, some way, Shaw is going to realize Godzilla is the key to keeping balance to the world. Now that Godzilla Awakening has been stricken from canon, it's even possible that the origins of Serizawa's philosophy that Godzilla is nature's order to restore balance could come from Shaw himself. Upon Shaw's return to the surface, the government will see him as completely unstable and insane. The entire crew is dead, they're not going to understand it, and they're not going to trust him on his reasoning why. And I think they're also going to make the experiment classified and redact it, hiding the proof of the Hollow Earth and making it look like Shaw and Randa are just two conspiracy theorists who cannot be trusted. I don't think Monarch is going to get the funding boost they expect after this. Finally, I think Randa and Shaw will discover that Shaw's DNA has been altered in some way by the Hollow Earth radiation, and they're going to realize that he's now suffering from decelerated aging, which explains why he's still so young in the modern day. Alternatively, I could see Randa, because he's in such close proximity on the other side of the portal, having his DNA altered to have him age quicker, explaining the age gap from this show to Kong Skull Island. One last reason I would love to see this scene set in the 60s is just because I would like to see the evolution of the relationship between Shaw and Randa post Keiko. As far as the modern day plotline, I think a lot is going to be going on. On the surface world, it looks to me as though Tim suffers a major injury during the collapse of the facility at the end of the last episode, and I think his leg might have been crushed by rubble, so I think he is going to be very injured, and I think Kentaro and Tim are going to be kind of left in the remains of this with nothing more than a couple of Monarch goons and then maybe some of Shaw's group. I think Tim and Duval will have a big confrontation in this episode where Duval will explain what Shaw's plan truly is to close all the portals. Tim's going to confront her, and I think he'll try and take Kentaro back to Monarch with him to report on what just happened, but Kentaro's not going to want to go with him. I think Tim and Duval are going to try and find a way to get into the Hollow Earth in order to save the others, because I think they're going to believe that there's still a chance they're alive. Meanwhile, Kentaro will be at an all-time low, and he'll be forced to come to terms with the fact that he might be the last man standing, and in his moment of true desperation, he'll finally call it quits and return home thinking the others are dead. He'll be super depressed, having given up, only to discover Hiroshi is home waiting for him. And I believe that we will finally meet Hiroshi properly in this episode, and that he and Kentaro will come face to face, and Hiroshi's secrets will start to be revealed as he'll explain what the Hollow Earth is to Kentaro and that there is a chance the others are alive. Meanwhile, Monarch will not be in support of finding the others, assuming they have all died in the fall, and they will write off the Hollow Earth, saying it's impossible, and we might finally learn why Monarch denies the Hollow Earth's existence in the first place, as that is a big lingering question within the MonsterVerse, why it keeps being proven time and time again, and yet they still deny it. I think this is what's going to lead Tim and Duval down a path of discovering Hiroshi's true plan, and it will also send them on a crash course straight towards him, but before they can get to him, a gamma burst is going to alert them to the location that the others have just exited the Hollow Earth from. As for the Hollow Earth plotline, based on that plot description, and I don't understand it, Kate somehow gets separated from the others. I don't know how that could happen considering her and Shaw are holding hands and May was the one who went in first, but I think the Hollow Earth is going to be depicted much more closely to the Upside Down here, and I think it'll be a very hostile environment. I don't think it's going to look like the Hollow Earth from Godzilla vs. Kong. Is that a big continuity error? Kind of a little bit. We just haven't explored enough of the Hollow Earth to know for sure what the terrain of the entire thing looks like, but to be 100%, I'd be okay if they made it a little more like the Upside Down, where it's very horrific, sci-fi inspired. I think there's going to be these intense lightning storms that originate from the ground, and the whole thing will be illuminated by those big Hollow Earth beams of glowing radiation that we've seen so much of. I don't think it's going to look like the one from Godzilla vs. Kong, and I don't have an issue with that necessarily. Yeah, it's going to be kind of a jarring difference because we have explored the Hollow Earth and we're going to spend a whole movie there in the next movie. On the other hand, I'm not into the fantasy Hollow Earth as much as I would be into this type of a scarier Hollow Earth that's a little more sci-fi oriented. That's what I was hoping for following King of the Monsters. I have been very conflicted about the Hollow Earth as it's been presented. It's just a little too whimsical for me. I understand that it's better for sequels and has more potential to tell stories in it, but it also, I just don't like it as much. It's just a little too much for me. Anyways, upon arrival to the Hollow Earth, I think our characters will be saved by the gravity inversion. I guess they can withstand the pressure that -1 never could. I could get into all day long about how silly it is to me that these characters are going to survive a fall to the center of the earth. We're just gonna have to roll with it. It is the dumbest thing to happen in the entirety of the MonsterVerse. I think it truly is, and we're just gonna have to roll with it because they're just gonna do it. Upon upon arrival to the Hollow Earth, I think they'll be saved by the gravity inversion, and I think that somehow, someway, they're going to be separated by each other by a monster on the other side that is going to give chase throughout the episode. Whether or not that's one of the Endoswarmers, I don't know. That one got crushed with a rock, so it might be dead. Or it could have just fallen through the portal with them and emerges on the other side and gives chase immediately. But I do think they're going to get separated on the other side of the portal by a monster, and this is where that shot of Shaw and May running through the forest as lightning strikes comes from. I think the lighting in the background of that shot is clearly the portal they just fell through, and that the vortex will explode and close the portal as a result of Shaw's actions, which will trap them in the Hollow Earth. This is also going to be the episode where Kate is attacked by that boar, and I think that May and Shaw will probably save her from the Titan, and then they'll all reunite towards the end of the episode. I think this will also be the episode where May and Kate's relationship will finally culminate and develop much further, showing that they are truly in love. As you know, I don't like that plotline at all. So awkward to me that they're doing that with a brother and sister love triangle. It's so goofy, just whack. Someone call -1, because this is one ship I would love to see sink. I think that the episode is going to deal with their search for a new portal out of the Hollow Earth because the one that they went through closed, and I think during this search they'll discover the Ion Dragon is still alive and he's the one who opens the portals in the first place, and they'll probably escape back to the surface through the portal that Shaw is already aware of because he's already been through it. And I do think they're going to escape the Hollow Earth at the end of this episode. I think that it's going to be through one of the portals that Hiroshi has marked. It'll cause a big gamma burst and alert people to their location and set up the final episode where they're going to have to get Godzilla to take on the Ion Dragon. But before they leave the Hollow Earth, I do think they're going to find some meaningful clue that Keiko is still alive down there. Very Janet Van Dyne in the quantum realm kind of deal from the Ant-Man movies. I don't like that idea very much. I don't like the idea that Keiko is still alive, but I do think she will be. I do think that now that Shaw has probably been radiated by the Hollow Earth and has decelerated aging, we're probably going to see something similar with Keiko. She can still be alive, assuming she's had some sort of Hollow Earth radiation contamination the same way Shaw did, but I do think she's still gonna be alive because she fell through the exact same portal as everybody else. And if we're gonna say that they escape the adult Endoswarmers, I'm gonna say that she can probably escape the young ones. Why she never makes her way back to the surface, I truly could not tell you. Maybe she's just not confident in her ability to jump back through the portal. But for one reason or another, I do believe that will be the case. I do believe that Shaw will find some clue she'll still be down there. That's gonna give him his motivation to go back in the final episode to get her out and redeem himself from his past mistakes. I can see that being the way he sacrifices himself, in fact. Sacrifices himself for her. Alternatively, what if she's still down there? They wind up stuck down there in this final episode, and then the next episode deals with Hiroshi, Kentaro, Tim, Duval heading into the Hollow Earth to save all of them, get them all back out. Maybe the reason they can't come back out is because we're gonna say that, well, you can enter the Hollow Earth, exiting it would be fatal. I don't know why that would be the case, but I also don't know why it would be the case that they would survive the fall to Hollow Earth in the first place. So I could see that being the case, and if that's the case, I'm still kind of saying that Keiko stands a shot of being alive, and if she is alive, then I would think Shaw's sacrifice would be allowing her to escape while he stays down there taking her spot. That could be what happens as well. Or he just gets eaten by the Ion Dragon, which would be fitting because it was the first Titan he ever saw, and it would also be a very MonsterVerse thing to do to introduce a character that people really grow to love with an actor that is beloved, and then to kill them off in a fairly unceremonious way that leaves everybody going, well, we're checking out of this one. Why did they do that? That's a very MonsterVerse thing to do. Alright, I want to give a huge thank you to all my patrons over on Patreon. If you want to support the Patreon, you can using the link in the description below. By supporting the Patreon, you are directly supporting this channel and making sure that I can keep making videos like this for you guys. What do you think is going to happen in this next episode? Comment below and let me know. Where do you think we're headed for the finale, and how do you think it's all going to wrap up and tie together? Thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you guys next time for the next one. D-Man out.